Just understanding that it's just another adversity that we had to deal with. We understood that the odds were against us after that loss against Oregon, but we also understood that there's still a chance. And when there's still a chance, then we're going to keep doing everything we can to make sure we make the most of our opportunity so that chance, when it comes, we'll be ready for it. And we understood that it was going to take everything we had, and not only that, for the stars to align, and it did. And one thing I'm very proud of for this team is that when we did get the chance, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, you only got in because of the other teams, but then we wouldn't be ready to play in the championship game because we lost to Oregon. It was a fluke that we beat USC the first time. It's like, no, we came in there and we dominated, and we showed everybody that we're a team that no matter what adversity hits us, we're always prepared and we're always going to hit it back in the mouth. And so that's one thing I'm very proud of this team, that we were able to overcome that this year.
Speaking of adversity, no Devaughn, no Brant, no Dalton, but it seems like the expectations are still for you guys to put up a lot of points, put up a lot of yards. How have you guys got to this point to where you can lose so many valuable weapons and yet still have that confidence and the ability to score?
It's a testament to the philosophy of next man up. We have one hell of a team. We have a lot of great players, a lot of young players as well that are coming in, and they got to mature fast, and that's just how it is. That's what Utah football is all about. When you're ready to play, your number is going to be called, and you got to be ready for it. And those guys, when their number is called, they always are ready. And so, although it's tough for us to lose great players and like Dalton and Devaughn and then Brant as well, we understand as well that we have guys that can fill in those spots and bring their own creativity to the offense and put up those numbers that we normally put up, because that's just the philosophy we have here at Utah.
You taught much to Britt.
I'm actually going to be hopefully calling him sometime after this week to kind of talk with him and get his opinion on where I'm at and what he thinks I should do. Obviously, it's not going to be like, oh, whatever he says is what I'm going to do, but it's more so it's good advice to hear from somebody that's been through this and done it, and something that can help hopefully sway my decision at the end.
Have you talked to him since Pac-12 championship game about just getting back here and all that stuff?
Oh, no, I haven't talked to him recently, yeah. Just been enjoying all the festivities the bowl game has, so you know how it is.
Oh, yeah. What about just the support you guys get? A lot of red on Monday. What does that mean to you personally and to this program, just to have the support from you fans?
Yeah, it's amazing. Our fan base is really amazing. It's the same thing that happened last year. The fans that came out to the Rose Bowl last year was unbelievable. Like, it felt like it was just a home game again, just in California. So I'm expecting the same thing this year. I understand that our fans are big supporters of everything that we do, and they were with us even when everything seemed against us. So we're always grateful to them, and it's an honor for us to be able to play for them on such a big national stage.
What about Penn State's defense? What do you see from them? What's going to be the challenge for you guys as you face a tough defense like that?
I believe it's physicality. They're a very physical defense. They play a lot like how we are. You know what I mean? They harp on defense. They put it man on man. Like, you got to have your best athletes try to beat our best athletes, and that's just what I see in their defense. And they have a ton of great players, a lot of good leadership on that team, and it's going to be a dogfight. It's what you would want and what you expect from the Rose Bowl game. You got two of the best teams playing against each other on a big national bowl game stage. So it's going to be a great game, and we're looking forward to it. We just got to make sure we execute the game plan that's given to us, and I think the biggest thing is just being more physical with them. I feel like whoever's the more physical team on Monday is going to be the ones that come out with the W.
As you watch film at Penn State, you're
Yes.
kind of amazed how similar they are to
very similar.
Yeah.
Even I don't watch film on them, but from what I heard, they even offensively wise, they're the same as us. Like, I feel like we're two of the same teams built on the same philosophies that are going to go at it. So I'm expecting a really fun game going up against the best.
How much this is kind of obvious, but how much is it going to mean to you if you guys can break through and make some history and get that Rose Bowl title?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. That's the only outcome I see in my head. That's what I wanted to happen. Our second time being here, not a lot of people can say they've been to 2 Rose Bowls, let alone back-to-back Rose Bowls. So obviously we want a different outcome this year, and that's the only thing that's pushing us right now, is that we want to win. We know what it felt like when we lost last year in the Rose Bowl, and we don't want that same feeling. We want the feeling of being on the other end where we're celebrating and the confetti's falling down on us.
Have you enjoyed handling punt return duties this year?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's taken a lot of took a lot for me to get accustomed to. I'm a lot taller than a lot of punt returners, so a lot of those guys are mostly like elusive, quick players. I'm more of a little bit top end speed, like at the end, and so it's made me get out of my comfort zone. But it's made me a better receiver, in my opinion, bringing out different parts of the aspects of football into my gameplay. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'll keep doing it as long as they want me back there returning those punts.
Cam was just talking about Penn State secondary. What are some things you've seen from that secondary on the tape that sticks out to you?
I think it's physicality. Their corners are a lot more physical than a lot of the corners that we've played. They like to get hands-on, and when they get hands-on, they like to stay on you. And they play a lot of man to where they believe that their athletes can out-athlete our own athletes as well. So I feel like the biggest thing for us coming into this game is going to be physicality. We got to beat the man in front of us. I think that's what it's going to come down to, and whoever is more physical than the other team is going to be the one that wins this game.
If somebody came up to you who has never seen Cam play and said, "What kind of quarterback is he?" What would you say?
I think the first word that comes to my head is leadership. He's a leader on the field, on and off the field. He's just somebody that you could just look to, and you could get behind him. You want to follow him. So it's a credit to him what he's done for this team and what he's been able to do for us players. And he's one of those guys that makes you want to be a better self for him, so that we can do the things that we need. What was that?
Will to win. How would you describe that?
Oh, he's a huge competitor. Like even off the field, like if we're playing pool or something at the football facility, he always wants to win in everything. So I love that guy, and I love his competitiveness because it really drives everybody else on the team to want to win. And obviously we want to win, but he's one of those guys that he wants to win. He'd rather die than lose a game. So. Yep. Appreciate it. What was that?
Yeah, trying to get you to
smile.
There you go. Well, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What does it feel like to be here, back in the Rose Bowl game?
It's amazing. It's an honor. Not a lot of people can say they've been to 2 Rose Bowls, let alone back-to-back Rose Bowl games. So it's an honor to be here back on this national stage again and be able to represent the program.
Is it any different than last year?
No, it's pretty similar. I mean, we're in a different hotel. A lot of the activities we've done before, so it's like a second time doing it, but it's still fun in the same. But this time around, I feel like it's more football, in my opinion, more football oriented, because we want to come out with a different outcome this year. So I'm a lot more driven to making sure I enjoy the bowl experience, but to make this experience even more great is to come out with the win.
Can you talk about what did you guys learn? Did you guys learn anything as far as some of the speed bumps you had during the regular season and then being able to come back and beat USC kind of handily in the title game?
It's just understanding that when there's a chance, you just keep fighting. When there's hope, you keep fighting. That's all it is, and that's what our team is built on. Adversity that we faced in this season. We had a few losses early on in the season where people started writing us off, and we knew that if we just stuck together, kept doing the things that we had to do, opportunity would present itself to us and we'd be ready for it. And that's what happened. The stars aligned. We were able to get in the championship game. We were able to dominate against USC. And now we're here back at the Rose Bowl again, back to back. And if you ask somebody after we lost to Oregon if we'd be back in the Rose Bowl, I feel like everybody would say we would not be back here. So it's a testament to this team on how much we were driven to overcome the obstacles that were in our way and making sure that when our opportunity is given to us, we take the most of it.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. So I've been going around both today and yesterday asking people, who do you think is the funniest guy on the roster?
Funniest guy on the roster?
Funniest guy on the roster.
Ooh.
It could be a few guys if there's a few that come.
Yeah, shoot, funniest guy. I think hands down, in my opinion, Stone Azarkan. Or Zarkon, yeah. That boy is one of the funniest dudes. Like, you just look at him, you just start laughing at him. He doesn't even have to do anything, and he just got you smiling. So that's a shout out to my boy Stone. I think he's the funniest dude on the roster.
So what is it about Stone? Like, is he?
He's just goofy.
Like, is it just a locker room thing?
Yeah, it's a locker room thing. Like, some of the stuff he just be doing is just like it's just goofy. Like he's a very funny person, and but even at the end of the day, he's one of those guys that he's a brother. At the end of the day, like, he could be serious when he needs to, but when he's funny, he'll be funny. And so I love that guy so much. But yeah, it's more of like a locker room thing. Like, like you have to be there to believe it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. As a receiver, you work pretty closely with Cam Rising.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me a little bit about how he's kind of progressed over the years. How important is he to this program?
He's a huge part of the program. Everybody always talks about his competitiveness, and that's, I think, the biggest thing that stands out to me is his competitiveness and his leadership. Even on scout team, like we were going up against the starting defense every day, and we always wanted to beat them every time. Like we were only on scout team and we wanted to beat them. That's just the kind of guy he was, and because he was like that, it made all of us want to do the same thing. So I think that's what he brings to our team. Like we just don't want to lose. That's just the competitive spirit that he brings, and how we feel as an offensive unit being followers to this great leader.
And as a receiver, I'm sure you've had plenty of opportunities during practice to go up against a guy like Clark Phillips. Clark isn't going to be playing in this game, but what is it like working with him kind of every day pretty much?
Oh, it was awesome. Me and Clark always went up against each other, you know. I also got to experience going up against Jalen Johnson as well, and I think Clark is the similar cornerback in the same sense with Jalen, and it was an honor for me to go up against those two, because I think those two really helped me become a better receiver. And you know, if you talk to Clark as well, like every day we always would go up against each other. Like honestly, I didn't really go up against anybody else because we always wanted to go up against each other, because it's just iron sharpens iron. And so it's credit to him. I'm excited for him in his next journey in the NFL, and I know he's going to do great things.
One more question for me. We were just talking to Cam, and he mentioned his hair and like it growing out.
Yeah.
And I asked him if he ever thought he'd cut it, and he says he's not attached to it, but maybe he'd wait and see. Do you know, or do you remember him like
with short hair?
Shorter hair.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, if you watch our old film of Scout Team, like you don't even see his hair coming out of his helmet. Like it was crazy to think, like now when you see it, it's like you recognize Cam on the field because of his hair. You know what I mean? So looking at old film like that, it's kind of crazy to think that he used to have short hair, because I'm so used to seeing him like this, even with the mustache too and everything.
Could you ever imagine him maybe like without it, or be able to recognize him again?
I think I still recognize. As long as he has a mustache, I'll recognize him anywhere.
Did you give him any tips about having good-looking locks?
I mean, he has different hair than I do. You know, I got the curls, the Jerry curls, so I got to make sure I do my own thing. But I think Head and Shoulders. I think that's something that can do good for him. But you know, what would I know? I don't have nice hair like he does.
Devaughn, can you talk about your decision to move on to the NFL?
Actually, it's still in the works right now. It's not 100%. I'm still debating for myself what my future is going to look like. Haven't come up to a decision yet. Hopefully, I'll come up to a decision after the bowl game. But as of right now, I don't know.
What have you learned from being at Utah during your career?
On
and off the field.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is just overcoming adversity. And I know that's like a cliche thing to say with our team, but I really believe that's what I've learned the most from, because especially losing two teammates in the 2020 season, the 2021 season, and then as well as just even on the field with like dealing with losses and people already writing us off, but then having to come back and prove them wrong. I think that's just another life lesson you could take into life, not only just for football, but in life in general. Like when you're faced with adversity, when there's obstacles in your way, as long as you have the grit and the drive to keep overcoming them, then that's what makes you a successful person.
How did it influence losing those two teammates? How did it influence you?
It made me take a perspective how short life can be. You know what I mean? And nothing's guaranteed. I think that's the biggest thing that hit me the hardest, and it made me want to bring my loved ones closer to me. You know what I mean? Like just saying I love you or texting them, just letting them know that you're there. I feel like that's the biggest thing to me, because losing those guys, you wouldn't expect that to happen in a college football season. You see the guys every single day, think you're always going to see them the next day, and when you don't see them the next day, it's just like it hits you hard. So I think the biggest thing that brought to me was just understanding life is short, but just loving the guys around you, letting them know that you love them, putting an arm around them.
Last question I want to ask is, you guys could have fell apart, but can you talk about the team's resolve last season and then coming into this year?
You talking in regards to the football season or the loss of the team?
The losses, yeah.
Oh, I mean, the day after we lost ALO, I remember we came in and had a team meeting where it's just the teammates or just the players talking to each other, and I remember we were just talking, and I think at that point is when our brotherhood really became like a single unit. Like we all like just came together. It was no longer like individuals, like, oh, these guys only hang out with these guys. Like, we came together as a unit. So it was like one of those things, like, you see everybody, you're always saying hi to them, or you're always talking to them, or chopping it up. And I think that's what makes our team so much different from a lot of other teams, is that brotherhood. Because everybody knows from that experience of losing a teammate, it's like you want to talk to everybody and get to know them. You want to know their story. You want to get to know them so they can always feel like they have a brother in you. And so I feel like that was kind of the vibe that we got after we lost Alo, and ever since then, I feel like that's just kind of the culture that we built here in Utah. It's brotherhood.
When you think about what's next for you, do you do like pros and cons, or do you also like do the addition of like, well, maybe I have this type of NIL opportunity compared to what like they project my professional salary to be? Like, how do you even like calculate something like that?
Oh, it's I'm still learning on the fly. But I mean, obviously, pros and cons is the biggest thing. I always just try to see like, what would it look like if I stayed? Like, what would happen? What would I expect? What would I need to do? And then it's the same thing if I went. What would I have to do? What would be the outcome of what I think is going to happen? And so I take all of those things into consideration. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure I'm doing what's best for myself, and not only for myself, for my family. I feel like that's the biggest thing. I just want to make sure I take care of my family. And if that means staying another season, then I'll stay another season. If that means I got to go, then I'll go. So still in the works right now, still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, but I'll definitely be coming up with a decision soon.
Have you already finished your bachelor's degree?
Yes, yes, sir. I graduated this past semester was my last semester. So.
Okay, so you're working on the master's now?
Yeah, that's the plan. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
So what jumps off the page to you about Penn State defense when you look at it after watching film?
Physicality. They're a very physical defense, especially the corners. They have really good corners and safeties as well, and they're a lot bigger than a lot of the other corners we face in the Pac-12. So, yeah, I feel like physicality is probably going to be the biggest thing in this game.
Andy said this is probably the best defensive unit you guys faced all year. Do you agree with them?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, this is a great defense. I've watched a lot of film on them already, and there's always a different player standing on each and every game. So it's just going to be one of those games where it's just iron sharpens iron. Like, everybody's just going to have to do their part, and the team that's more physical is going to be the one that wins the game.
So Penn State's out without their best corner, Joey Moore Jr. Does that change up your route running or anything?
No, I still think number 4 is a really good corner. Same thing with number 3. Those are the two I've been watching the most, and I think they're just as good as the corner that they just lost as well. And that's just a kudos to the culture that Penn State has already built over there. You know what I mean? Like, they have players, they have depth, and they're going to be physical, and that's just one of those things that we just have to deal with, and we're going to have to stick to the game plan in order for us to win this game.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
So, Devaughn, I'm going to ask you 2 light questions, fun questions, so I'm not going to be too serious.
Sounds good. Yeah, you good.
So how much fun are you having this week?
I'm having a lot of fun. It's been great. I think Disneyland was really fun because, unlike last year, I was able to bring my wife along with me, so it was really fun being at Disneyland with her.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Ooh, I probably have to say ooh. I'm still a big fan of Space Mountain. I love that ride when I was a kid, and that's one of those rides. It's like, although it may not be as fun as it was when I was a kid, because it's, I thought I was faster when I was a kid, but it's still the memories that are linked to it. Like, I used to go to Disneyland a lot when I was a kid growing up in California, so Space Mountain was always one of those rides where it's like, I'll go on it probably like 3-4 times when I was there, so.
And Beach Ball, what's it like the second time around? Oh, no, we didn't have it last year.
Yeah, it was nice this year. It was the first time we actually got to go into the restaurant and really experience what the Beef Bowl was supposed to be, because last year we just had it at the hotel. It was still fun, still good, but I think this time around it was a lot cooler. It was awesome seeing Bryson Barnes be the dude to cut the prime rib, and then seeing Falcon up there as well, tossing this out. So it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
As a wide receiver, what kind of prepped you for for your next chapter, whether you stay another season or whether you go to the NFL? What's kind of helped you to be the receiver that you are today?
Just work ethic. It sounds cliche, but that's literally what I was built upon. I mean, I was a walk-on when I first came onto the team, earned my scholarship after a year, and that's what I've kind of built my whole character around as a receiver. Is just working harder than the guys that are in the room with me. I could be friends with them. I'm obviously going to be brothers to them, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to outcompete them so I could be the one playing on Saturdays. And so I think that's what drove me so much is doing extra work, doing those little things, do extra route running, extra catches after practice, practicing my releases, just little things like that. And I felt like that's what's helped me get to where I'm at. But I still haven't arrived, you know what I mean? It's nowhere close to where I want to be. So there's still things I got to keep working on, still things I got to do, but I'm excited for whatever's in store for me.
Is there a wide receiver that's in the NFL now, or past, that you kind of enjoy watching?
Yeah, I was actually a big fan of Devontae Adams. One thing that I took from him is implementing basketball into how I play receiver, because I was a big basketball player growing up as well. So a lot of just simple crossovers I can use in the same thing as I do my releases. Like sometimes if you ever watch my release, sometimes you'll see me doing behind the back with my hand because I'm imagining I have a basketball in my hand trying to do that. So he was a big part, but some of the receivers I loved watching when I was a kid though was Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. I'm a Colts fan, so watching those guys back when they were part of that Super Bowl 05 team with Peyton Manning, Dallas Clark, Jeff Saturday and all those guys. Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne was one of my two favorite receivers to watch. They would always catch everything, and that's one thing I always believed in. It's if the ball touches your hand, you got to catch it. So.
Yeah, you got another Pac-12 guy down there. And, Michael Pittman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sounds like, excuse me, talking to your teammate, golf has really taken off as the big hobby of this team.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
I don't even know. I just remember people were just saying they were golfing after practices and all that, and they were like, you got to try it, it's really fun. The only thing I ever heard about golf was that it was expensive, so I didn't want to try it. But I remember there was a couple times that I just went to Top Golf and we were just hitting the ball around, and at first I didn't like it because I couldn't hit the ball. I didn't know how to hit it, and then once I kind of got it down, that first drive you get when you just see it just kind of soar up, that was an addicting feeling. So after that, I got my own clubs, I got everything. I started going to the courses and everything. So now all of us are golfing. We even talk about in the off season, let's go golfing when we get time. So it's kind of we got the golf bug for the whole team.
Talking to Micah, he said that you're one of the better guys on the team.
At golf?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I picked it up pretty fast, but I'm nowhere near as good as like Dalton. I think is probably one of the best players on our team when it comes to golf. But I mean, I can hold my own if I need to.
Shifting gears here. What stands out to you? No, you're good. About Penn State's secondary. Obviously, number 9 opted out. Their top corner. What are some of those guys? Who's impressed you there?
I was already talking to somebody else, but I think number 4 is a really good corner. Same with number 3. They both have different styles of playing. 3 is a lot more shadowing, while number 4 is a lot more physical. So they're really good secondary. From what I've seen, I know it's going to be a dogfight at the end of the day. And I think physicality is going to be the biggest thing. I think the team that's going to be more physical is going to be the one that wins. So when we have those one-on-one matches, we got to be more physical. And not only that, the team that makes more plays is going to win. So it's going to be one of those games where it's iron sharpens iron, and we just got to make sure we do what we got to do to win the game.
Does that excite you at all, knowing that 4 is pretty aggressive? Do you like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I love going up against the best because it tells you where you are when you play against the best. So obviously 9 opted out. It would have been a great opportunity to play against him, but I still think 4 and 3 are great corners. I think they're just as good as he is. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for those one-on-one matchups to see their best athletes go up against our best athletes.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
How would you describe the progression of this offense throughout the season from back in week 1 at the Swamp to now?
A lot of the things that we do is it's just sticking to game plans. It's just making sure players make plays. But I feel like the biggest thing that we've been able to do this with the offense this year is just building on each and every single game. With that loss against Florida, we saw things that we needed to work on, and we continued to work on it, and we kept building it up. And then we'd have another obstacle in the way where we lost to USCLA, and we saw what we had to fix, and same thing with Oregon. So I feel like one thing about this offense is that we're able to adapt to a lot of the changes and a lot of the things that we see on film, and able to make those necessary changes to be able to be better in the next games.
Last one. How would you describe Cam Rising as not only a football player but a leader in the huddle?
I think he's a great leader. He makes you want to be better, and his competitive spirit, his drive to always want to win every single game. I think that's what drives the team. That makes you want to be that person that wants to get behind him. So.